How's it going? Sean Cannell here, and welcome to this exclusive training that is an inside look of our Inner Circle monthly online business coaching program, and is also being streamed, the first part, here on our Think Media podcast channel. I'm so fired up for today. And here's the topic. Do you want to learn how to create a digital product or an online course that earns you money while you sleep? Maybe you've been noticing that stay-at-home moms are building six-figure side businesses, or corporate professionals are quitting their 9-to-5 jobs and they're packaging what they know into a digital product and building at-home businesses so they can spend more time with their family. If you want to learn how to tap into what Forbes told us that in just a few years is going to be $1 billion a day industry, that's what today's session is all about. And in just a little while, I'm going to be introducing our guest speaker, our guest expert, Ali Bjerk, who's going to be breaking down, I've seen no one better in the industry for this topic today of how to create a low-cost digital product that not just changes lives, impacts people, but also builds your business in a major way. So here's kind of what we're doing. This is our Inner Circle program. And for every single month, we do a deep dive training just like this. And in the first part, we go through the training, and Allie's going to be breaking that down. I have an opening case study for you. But then during the second part, we're going to be doing some Q&A, maybe some hot seats, and actually answering your questions. And that's in the members only area. So we have a lot of stuff for happening today. Smash like if you're fired up, and shout me out, where are you watching from, so that we can connect with you. I've got Tony, I've got Melissa on the Think Media team in the comments connecting with you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And I'm excited to dive into this training. I want to thank you for being here, and really for investing in yourself, whether you're just kind of peering in for the first time in the Inner Circle, or you've been a part of the Inner Circle community for a while. You know, myself, on behalf of myself and the Think Media team, we just want to thank you for being someone that is a learner. We believe that lifelong leaders are lifelong learners, and that this is one of the best parts of our month because we can become better together. You know, Warren Buffett said that the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. Come on, crypto's up and crypto's down right now. You know what I'm saying? Anybody investing in crypto? But the best investment you can make, the stock market's up, AMC to the moon, or it's going down. Housing prices are all over the place. And of course, we are wise investors, but the best investment you can make is in yourself. So I just want to thank you. Shut out distractions, grab a journal to take notes. I'm going to be taking notes as Allie's breaking down insights. And so get ready to learn, because again, this is a deeper dive training that you want to set some time aside, really a good hour to really dive into this content. And I want to open with a quick story, and maybe you can remember headlines like this. You know, March 2020, where were you March 2020? Hospitals on high alert for the deadly coronavirus. You know, I remember exactly where we were. We were here in Las Vegas. A lockdown started. You know, I've been an online business owner. Besides a YouTube content creator, we, at the time, were a business of 13 people. We've hired since then. But we had been through a lot of good seasons, you know, launched a best-selling book, YouTube Secrets, and our Video Ranking Academy program, and had done a lot over the last couple of years. Maybe you know Heather Torres or Omar. But March 2020, we felt like we got hit by a truck, and not just like in the same way you were, but also in the same way for us. That month, we were negative $30,000 on our P&L in our business. You want to talk about, you know, I was checking with my wife, who's our chief financial officer, Sonia. I was like, wait, up 30? She's like, no, negative 30, $30,000 negative. And we had actually just hired somebody. Maybe you know Nolan over on the we just hired Nolan. We just hired Tony. And we were like, what the heck? And you remember all the headlines, all the stuff that's happening. Business being shut down. Things are being shut down. You know, people are going into lockdown. What's going to happen with this? We're all like glued to the news. And so I don't know where you were in March 2020, but I know I was, you know, in that moment of kind of like fear, you know, uncertainty, what's going to happen, bracing for new life, new routines. And now we've been through a year and beyond of just crazy ups and downs. But I know for us, one of the things we did at the Think Media team, and we started to talk about, was we thought we really have two options right now. We can either go on defense or we can go on offense. We can either shrink back in fear or we can lean in faith. You know, I've heard fear stands for one of two things. You know, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. right? We decided to face everything and rise, even though we were scared to death. We decided to create instead of complain, right? We decided to solve problems and serve people instead of sulk. And specifically, we just started asking, what can we do? What can we create? And I want you to think about that. What can you create to maybe change your situation right now? What value can you create? Entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit. What value can you create to serve people? And so the case study I wanted to share with you was out of that crazy month. Business is negative, trying to figure it out, had a lot of things going for us, but was thinking, what can we do? One of the things that we did was we created our YouTube starter kit. Now, shout me out if you actually have, gotten our YouTube starter kit. It's one of the most valuable things we've ever created. And it's a low-cost digital product. We created it to serve our community, to help them get results faster. It's a power-packed digital asset bundle that will dramatically shortcut your path to creating or reviving your YouTube channel. Now, if you read the title on YouTube, where we're just streaming this first part, we've sold it for different amounts of money. It's over $600 of value in terms of all the pieces of it. It's normally 97, it's 47 right now, but we've also had sales on it at 27. We have the flexibility to do that depending on, discounts or Memorial Day weekend sale, all these different kinds of things. But out of creating this product, creating in the midst of chaos, we were able to generate $546,586 so far. Now, pretty crazy. Now, listen, I'm not saying those results are typical. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty extraordinary. Some of them better, maybe others worse. But I mean, it's a crazy number. And keep in mind, Think Media is a team and we got help. But we created a low-cost digital product, right? That helps and solves problems. And we launched it. And then we've learned a lot on the way. So I just want to share a couple lessons as we get ready for Allie going deep into how do you create a tiny offer? How do you create something that will serve people? What is the elements that makes a tiny offer successful versus not work? And this is one of the best things you can create, whether you are a YouTuber trying to create extra streams of income, a business owner trying to create online income, whether you already have a high ticket offer or some kind of coaching or consulting, and you want to create more leads and lead into that. Really, this is one of the most essential elements that no one's really talking about. And here's just a couple lessons that I learned though. The first one is start tiny. And that's what today's training is all about. Get ready, because Allie's about to bring the fire. What I mean by that is one of the first things we did after I had built a six-figure income, reviewing tech, affiliate marketing, YouTube ads, all that kind of stuff, we started to teach it in a program called Video Ranking Academy. Thank God for it. It's been amazing. But dear God, it was stressful. Why? Because it's an academy. If you're in it, you're like, there's all these resources, all these videos. It was going from 0 to 100 real quick in terms of the amount of stuff I had to build, the amount of stuff I had to create, the amount of slides and training and videos. When people think about tapping into the e-learning industry, the online course industry, or creating a digital product, those things are different, but they're kind of all one and the same thing, some kind of a digital online offer. Sometimes you might get overwhelmed. You're like, do I have to create a university? Do I have to create a whole college? Here's the key. And I learned this from Allie. Start tiny. Start small. You can create this in one day. You might be able to create this in a few hours. You might already have this. You just might need to pivot some things already around what you've taught or done or the book you wrote or writing or whatever. So start tiny, because it's also something you could get to the market quickly. So I look back, we should have made the YouTube starter kit before we did Video Ranking Academy, in hindsight. But that's why you're here, is to learn from my mistakes, right? And to be able to go further faster. So that's kind of the first lesson. Second lesson is scale with paid traffic. Those are some big numbers. And I want you to know, and Allie's the expert at this, but paid traffic was a huge part of that. We have ad spend. The mistake a lot of people make in the content creator mindset is they lean only on organic traffic. Let me build my subscribers. Let me build up my views on YouTube. And the thing with organic traffic is typically organic just means you're not paying for it, like a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or a YouTube ad. It just means it's the long road. I think it's a good road. I think you build a community, you serve people, it actually builds character. It's a good road, but paid traffic is modern marketing. If you're not at least thinking about what is my offer, what is my tiny offer, and how am I going to master Facebook ads, Instagram ads, or who am I going to work with to figure that out? This is modern marketing. Those who ignore this and don't learn this skill or work with the right people will at best survive and possibly really disappear over the next decade. Modern marketing is understanding that the best way to reach people is this advertising revolution of Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to learn more about this in this training. That was the key to us hitting numbers and being able to get our tiny offer into people's hands. And the third one is get help. Get help. Too many entrepreneurs, too many content creators are out here trying to reinvent the wheel, man. Someone's already done it. So the key for us is like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel on how to figure out how to do tiny offers. I'm talking to the expert, Ali, right? So get help and think about how you can get help for the skills necessary. We always talk about in our community, what skills do I need to survive and thrive in the new economy? What skills do I need to dominate this next decade? And that's what today is all about with this training that I hope you're ready for and you're pumped, because we have just barely scratched the surface. And one of the things I've learned with getting help is that you can kind of jump out there and do things, but about halfway through the starter kit was when I discovered Ali Bjerk. And I started to realize, oh, dang, we need to tweak this, change that. And in hindsight, I'm like, there's so much stuff we got to do. That's the speed of getting connected to a coach, right? That's the speed of getting connected with somebody that can help you go further faster. So she's got a powerful training for us. But if you're just meeting Ali Bjerk, she's a visibility strategy coach and consultant. She's helped hundreds of business owners create the visibility strategies and marketing plans behind growing a super profitable business for balanced and prosperous lives. She's a funnel expert, and she has taken her marketing agency experience and used it to lead entrepreneurs toward their goals through her transformational programs and her tiny offer strategies. But here's why I love Ali. And I wore the same shirt that I did in that photo. That's kind of cool. It's almost like the exact same. Okay. If you're just listening on audio, that doesn't make sense. Listen, Ali's amazing because also anybody we bring you, we have like kind of a high filter through our podcast, through our inner circle program, through everything, where of course people have to pass the business test. Do they really have credibility? Have they really built a real business? Do their frameworks, does their content really good? Is it really worth your time? Is it really going to serve you? But that's not our only test, because that's not the only definition of success in our opinion. We really believe at Think Media, we're on a mission to help 10,000 people create a full-time living doing what they love while making a difference in the world on YouTube. I think to do that, you need to build a business around your YouTube channel. That's what Allie's going to show you to do with like an offer, your own products, scaling through ads, those types of things. Obviously, she can't get into all that, but she's going to, really give us some crazy value with the hour we have today. But what I love about Allie is her values, is that for her, it's family first. For her, she really believes that you can build a successful career without, losing your soul in the process. And having those priorities so you don't have to choose between your family and your business. And so I hope you're pumped. I'm pumped for today. Can we welcome Ali Bjerk to Inner Circle? Ali, how's it going?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I need you to like follow me around and hype me up like that. That was awesome.
Hey, you got it. Wherever you are, let me know. And actually, recently, we are in a mastermind together. We were recently in Nashville, and we got to tour Ramsey Studios, a $300 million building. Kind of crazy. Got to hang out with the Entree leadership team and really spend some time again. Just we love to invest in ourselves and learning and rubbing shoulders with other people that are doing big things. And so anyways, Ali, without further ado, I'm just so pumped. We're going to hand it over to you for your training. I'm ready to take notes and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited to get into this. Like Sean said, we're going to move fast. I have 100 slides myself, and I think about an hour to get through them. So I hope you have notes ready. I hope you are ready to jump in as much as I am. I'm going to try to keep the comments up and running so I can answer questions as I go too, but you guys are moving fast as well. So we'll see what we can do. But the topic of the training today is how to quickly create your digital product and discover how you can launch those digital products in 1/100th of the time. So like Sean said, with the very first slide that we're jumping into here, the global e-course industry is predicted to reach 325 billion with a B by 2025. And I think that's even been updated because, with coronavirus and everything happening in our world, it's accelerated. So now it's to the point of $1 billion a day, 365 billion, if you can picture that, $1 billion a day being spent in this industry. So when I look at my numbers for what my digital products have done in the last, year or two, at 2.2 million of revenue, that's like not even a percent. That's like not even a half of a percent. So when we go into this training, I really want the growth mindset to be where we're starting. Like, this is just the beginning of what's possible for your business. The industry itself is in its infancy, and we're really only going to grow from here. So for people who are coming in and they're like, meh, there are people who are successful. I haven't launched anything yet. It's too late. I haven't done it. I don't know what I would do. There's too much competition. I want you to just wipe all of that from your brain right away, just from the very, the third slide in. We're going to have the abundance mindset throughout this entire training and just have that belief in your soul that this is possible for you. And we're going to talk through exactly how to get it done. The problem with this industry, however, is that people come from two different mindsets. They have the beliefs that if you want to launch a digital product, and I even saw this in the comments while Sean was doing that awesome intro, like, I don't know if I could launch a course. I'm here to listen, but I'm not ready to create a course. We're not talking about creating an academy or a university or anything like that. These are tiny baby offers. We're talking about small digital products. It's not going to be a $997 price tag. And we're going to talk a lot about this within the training, is minimal viable product. So how do you get something to the market as fast as possible to let people actually tell you if they want it and to pay for it while you're creating it? Because a lot of people, even with these $997 courses, they come to me and they're like, I spent months creating this course and I built everything that I thought people needed, and nobody bought it. Like, I created it and now it's just sitting on my hard drive and no one's even, it's like collecting digital dust. No one's even paying attention to it. So there's that mindset. There's also the mindset of, I'll just create a membership. Like, I'll just do a reoccurring thing, put a little price tag on it, like $27, $37 a month. But it's so much work to actually do that, to have the reoccurring membership every single month with new content. You can get just as, much results monetarily with reoccurring profit from a tiny offer, creating it once, as you can with the membership, that every single month it's like, okay, what are we doing this month? How do we not churn people? How do we keep people excited about the membership? You create it once and then you just keep reselling it. So with this system, it changed my entire life. I was a service provider. I was a funnel builder, social media strategist, all the things. You guys heard the bio. And with doing this, even in 2020, with the chaos, and, I have 3 little kids that I was ultimately homeschooling for most of 2020, there was not a day that passed in that entire year and the entire social distancing and everything else where I didn't make hundreds of dollars passively from the ads that I was running, from the products that I had created. Every single day on my phone looks like this. Just nonstop sales because of the systems that I have built, because I have ads running. We're not going to ignore the paid media topic because, of course, this isn't all profit. I'm going to show you my exact numbers as we get into this. But having this system let me pay off all my student loans. We paid off a minivan. I actually bought a new car with cash since then. We took vacations. We bought investment properties. And our life looks completely different than it did before. I just had a product that had, it has ads running to it, right? So it's ads to products to sales all day long. So with this presentation, you're never going to have to think about where your next sale is going to come from or where your next client is coming from. And I asked Sean for a list of people who might be attending today so that I could dig into what types of businesses you have and just make sure that this is all really relevant. And it is. From what he said, even if you are just starting, or even if you have a high ticket program, or even if you want to monetize a following that you already have, this entire system or this strategy is really universal. So it's really cool to see how it works inside of different businesses. So it's going to help you have space and clarity and confidence and consistency. I know consistency is something I hear a word all the time that people are like, oh, I wish I could just have consistency in my content, in my sales, in, predictability from my business. And building this type of structure and this foundation behind your business is really what's going to help you get that done. It's also going to help you get out of the cycle and freedom from that doubt. The cycle, tell me if you've ever felt like this, because this was my story for a really long time. There's this thing that I really want to do. And I remember having conversations, meeting people, and they'd be like, what do you do? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm a social media marketer, but I really want to launch courses. Or I really want to coach. I really want to do this thing. And I just couldn't do it because I had those big aspirations in my brain of like, I have to create a course. I have to create a membership. I had this idea of what everyone else was doing that I was looking up to, that it had to look the exact same and that my journey had to be the exact same as everyone else. But it didn't work for me because I just couldn't make it happen. Here's a picture of my family. we're going to do a quick intro background story. We're not going to, have you ever attended those presentations where it's like 45 minutes of the person just talking about themselves and not any, not any real content? We're not doing that. So this is my family. These are my 3 little kids. My name's Ali Bjerk. And, a lot of people comment on my ads because I do run ads. If you have YouTube videos and you have comments, you can probably relate to this, but they like to make fun of my last name and say like, oh, you must be a jerk. Well, I'm not. I'm from Minnesota. I'm Minnesota nice is the quote we always say. What I did before this was helping online business owners to launch and scale businesses. And that's what I do in my coaching now, that they're totally time leveraged. So we're talking about group programs, having digital products programs that all sell themselves. So there's no trading dollars for hours. So as a previous doer of all the things, I maxed out at about 80, probably 70, 80K a year when I was a service provider. That was like the most money I could make. And as soon as I turned the system on, it changed everything. So graphic designer turned social media marketer, Facebook ads manager, pretty much a master of, or a doer of many things, but a master of none. If you've ever felt like that, when you're good at a lot, multi-passionate and you can't quite get the funnel vision blinders on to focus on one thing, that was totally me. And I had major FOMO. Like I wanted that confidence to do the things that I dreamt about. I wanted the book. I wanted the courses. I wanted to do public speaking. And I was the marketer with no marketing. And I just really wanted a funnel baby of my very own. So if you've ever felt like that and you feel like you're doing a thing, but you can't quite get it churning as fast as you want, or there's like too much friction in your life where it's just not happening, maybe you can relate to where I came from. So if you're here and you have big dreams about what that business can look like for you, if you want to make impact, because, values are super important behind all of this and doing it for the right reasons, it's always going to be more successful when it's not just about doing it for the money. So of course, scaling in a really aligned and ethical way, and then having an idea in your back pocket that you just can't quite launch or you haven't figured out the right method to do it, this is going to be helpful for that today. So what we're going to talk about, I have 5 different shifts within this training. I'm going to show you why you don't have to have, be good at sales. You don't have to get on sales calls. You don't have to be super visible. If you go look at my social media right now, I don't post every day. I have not, a ton of followers, but it's because of these shifts that I made in my own brain to, it's pronounced Minnesota. Yeah, I know. I said it wrong. But you don't have to have the PR agency and have all of those beautiful as seen on logos on your website. Those were thoughts that I had for a long time that kept me stuck of like, maybe when I have the Forbes logo on my website or Business Insider, maybe when I have that clout behind my name, maybe then I'll do something that actually generates money. But it didn't. It was the stuff that was keeping me paralyzed. So maybe busy work is keeping you paralyzed too. I mean, maybe you're editing for hours and hours on end, or you're trying to craft the perfect long form social media post, or you're writing a blog and then you're going and searching for the perfect image, the stock image search. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten stuck in that, where you're like, oh, I have to find the perfect photo. And then you're ready to post it and you're like, oh, I need a call to action. What am I going to do? I should be growing my list. I have to grow my email list. And it's just like this crazy cycle. And every single time you like get to the end of the day and you're like, what did I even do today? Like nothing that actually made money in my business. Like it all felt like theoretically it should make money, but we get stuck in that cycle all the time. So the 5 shifts we're covering today are why photo shoots and fancy websites don't matter, the thing to stop using, where most digital product creators go wrong, the 4 specific yes triggers that every product must have. So getting into actually designing the product, and then going through my exact no fluff system. So this is where I'll show you ad spend and all of the details behind how I actually hit those big revenue numbers in my business. So photo shoots and fancy websites don't matter. I don't know if you've ever, if you're like in the coaching industry or a personal brand or an expert. I remember when I first started in this industry, it was, probably 6 or 7 years ago when I realized that like online coaching was a thing and personal brands were a thing. And that's also when I was doing a lot of work for clients. I started running their launches and I started just diving into this world because I loved learning, and I became an expert in all of those things. But I was only operating from client to client. Like a client would pay me, I'd spend all the money. I had no business savings account. And then at one point, being a service provider, I had this breaking point in February of 2018. I was totally maxed out. I was exhausted. 3 little kids, brand new baby. And I had a client push through a chargeback. So I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where you do all the work for a client and then for whatever reason, they go call their credit card company and like say that the work didn't happen. And then they can pull the money right out of your account. Worst experience ever. And it was a chargeback for $6,000. I did not have $6,000 in my bank account. So I was stuck. Like had my back against the wall. I was laying in bed, like helping my son fall asleep. And I had the notification from Stripe on my phone pop up. And I didn't get Stripe notifications in those days. So it's like $6,000 is coming out of your account in the morning. So I was freaking out, like crying, like going to my husband, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So finally, like I had that back against the wall moment of, I have to launch something. Like I have to do something. I don't know when I'm having another one-on-one client coming in. And I told my husband, I'm like, I just want to quit. I just want to be done. And he said, just for 6 more months, like put your blinders on, finally do the things that you've been telling yourself you want to do. And let's just see what happens. And if in 6 months it doesn't work, you can quit. You can go be a personal trainer or go be a real estate agent or like whatever crazy ideas I presented to him that night. He was like, knock it off, put your blinders on and go do the work. So with all the things that had just happened, I knew I was stuck and I had to make revenue really quickly. I knew launches inside and out. I knew digital products inside and out. I had been sitting on some digital products that I kind of like sort of launched quietly and no one bought. So then I like hid them away and didn't want to tell anyone about them because I wasn't proud of it. So I knew all about the traditional launch method. And if you've ever thought about launching a course or a group program, it looks a little like this. So it's got the traffic, it has an opt-in page, it's got a thank you page, then you send emails, and then you have a free lead magnet, and then you file, most people file them and forget about them. Then you bring them to an offer page, you send more emails. Maybe people book a sales call, maybe they don't. And it's just a really long runway to not even know if it's going to work or not. And I, frankly, at this point, I did not have time for that. So I didn't have followers. I think I had like 400 people on my email list, and they were mostly like well-meaning friends from high school and my parents and, some family members. So I couldn't launch anything to my list. I knew I had to do it differently. I knew the traditional launch method would not work. So I had to rely on a cold audience because I didn't have anything else. I didn't have any time to waste. So with this new method, it didn't matter that I didn't have a brand. I didn't have any followers. Most people didn't even make it to my website. They just went from ad to sales page. So website was irrelevant. And the success was based on bringing them through a simple 3-step journey. So brand, Facebook group, business page profile, social media source, like none of that actually mattered for people seeing the offer and being like, yes, this is awesome. I'm going to buy it. And then the money coming into my account. So I did something that most of the, quote unquote gurus would consider impossible and reckless. I put it all on the line with this tiny offer, like all of my expertise into one offer. And it looked a little bit like this. So I had paid traffic that went to a sales page. The sales page then went to an order page. The order form, if you've ever seen those order bumps on it, where it's like a checkbox to add on to the order, that was what the order form looked like. And then from there, it was a one-time offer upsell page. You can also add on one-time offer downsells, and then you bring them to an order confirmation page. So it's very, very quick step-by-step through the offer. They don't go anywhere else. There's not a bunch of crazy emails that get shot off. And right away on page 1, that sales page, if it's working or not. So you're not relying on trying to figure out, are people opening my emails? What are my email open rates? Are people going to show up to the sales call? It like takes away so much of the unknowns that can come with the traditional launch method. So this is what, if you've ever built a funnel in your business to sell something or to get someone on the phone or to make a sale, if you're doing a free PDF, let's say just for easy math, if you're using ads and you get, for $5, you get 1,000 people to sign up. Look at these drop-off rates. And these are like industry benchmark numbers. So if you have 1,000 people sign up, 20% or 200 people will actually open your emails. These are pretty standard rates. 3% of people typically will click. So of the 200 people that opened, 6 people are clicking through. 30% of people will register for that call with you. That's 2 people. And if you close and if people show up for the call, say 1 person buys, if you're not selling something that's at least $5,000, you're not even going to break even on what you spent on ads. And that's what most people are doing, is having that free PDF and just crossing their fingers on the back end that their funnel will convert. I love GIFs, so you'll see that through this presentation. But it's funny because people, as I started doing this strategy and, speaking publicly about this strategy, people would comment on my ads. Again, ad commenters, it's like a whole thing. They'd comment and be like, there's no way you actually did this. Like, you're full of crap. You are a liar. This is not possible. I went and looked at your Instagram and you only have like 4,000 followers. And then I went and looked at your Facebook page and you only have 8,000. So this guy was like going everywhere and doing all of this math. And like, based on how many followers you have, if X% of those people buy and you sold a product for 20, so he was like, had this whole thing figured out. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Like, they saw my ad, they went to the sales page and they bought. There was no other looking around. There was no trust that needed to be pre-established because it's based on that impulse purchase, that what's in it for me is so clear when they see the sales page that they can make that buying decision immediately. When I first came into the coaching world, someone actually, like, there was a whole thread that was going around that was like, if you want to build rapport and you want to have a big social media following and you want to have people trust you as their coach, you need to go to Paris and put on a ball gown and like get your photo taken in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's how you built trust. According to when I first came into this online business world, it was all about vanity followers. And really quickly, I realized like the people who were actually making real money in their businesses didn't have that stuff. They just had funnels. They just had people coming in, they had paid traffic, and they were making offers. So when you're spending all this time creating an image and not actually making money in your business, none of it really matters. None of it's helping you keep your doors open and, keep paying your team for time continuously, because you're focusing on the wrong metrics. You can't go to the bank and be like, hey, I want to buy a house. Here are my million followers. They're like, we don't care. We just want money. So focusing on that as the main goal of your business was a really big shift for me too. So your current perceived social status has nothing to do with the amount of money that you're making right now. Let me know if that hits, like if you resonate with that, if it makes sense. This is Justine. She was someone that I worked with. You can see when she turned on her tiny offer funnel. Like this is her Stripe screenshot. And I absolutely love when my students send Stripe screenshots. It's like the most fun thing ever. So she was saying she, at the end of the month, doubled the previous revenue from, the previous month. And I asked her, like, what are you doing now? What are you working less? And she said, yes, I just hired a VA and now I'm only, logging in 1 day a week. So to watch her go double from what she was doing before, even before having that $12,000 screenshot, she was at like a couple thousand a month. So it's really amazing to see how quickly this can start working for people. This is Ellen Yin. She was another student of mine. She, I think, has gone on to launch 700,000 or make 700,000 from this strategy. But this was one of her first posts back in April. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I've made $2,700 so far. But I think it's really cool to watch the progress that people make, because the first time, like, I remember when I made the first sale to a stranger and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this person doesn't know me. I've never been on the phone with them. They just bought something. And then it just kept happening. And I'd put $1 into ads and I make $2 or $3 back. And it felt like the best kind of gambling available, because you put money in and you get more money out than what you spend. So seeing people's whole journey through this is really, really fun. I celebrate the first ad sales as much as the people that are like, oh my gosh, I just crossed $1 million, because all it takes is that one sale to like show you that you can do it. To sell to a stranger for the first time from an ad is like the most amazing feeling ever. So shift number 2 is to stop giving it all away for free. I hinted about that on the last, when I talked about PDFs, but that's what a lot of people are doing. So if we look at data from Nielsen Research, it's like a big research firm that knows a lot about how we're doing things. And they say that the average customer journey is 21 days. It takes an average of 32 exposures to your brand to actually make a buying decision. And if you think about how you use media, like if you picture yourself on an average evening, maybe hanging out with your partner, watching TV, you probably have your phone in your hand, might be bouncing around between, looking at YouTube comments, looking at videos, looking at podcasts, maybe checking your Instagram DMs, looking at Facebook, watching TikToks. Like, we are all over the place. And so are your buyers. So are the people that you're trying to attract with your brand. So we're seeing 10,000 ads per day simultaneously. So the amount of sensory input that we're getting on a daily basis is insane. And this is what is happening with the new landscape of digital marketing. Like, this is what's happening. Like, this is just what we're up against. So if we're going to shift into having that abundance mindset through this whole presentation, let's flip it to the positive. Instead of being like, womp womp, 10,000 ads, like, I can't compete. No one's going to see my stuff, whatever, I'm not going to try. If we shift into abundance, it's a greater opportunity than ever before, because another stat, people are spending almost 10 hours a day on their phones every single day. So we're hooked to our devices for the majority of the day. And if you know how to get in front of the right people and be there with your ads all the time, you don't have to be doing all the work. You don't have to be creating the social media. You don't have to be online constantly, all over the place, trying to connect with people and trying to drive those conversations. You can just let it happen naturally with your ads and get in front of all the right people at the right time. So it's expensive either way. It's going to be expensive, costing you a lot of time, or it's going to be expensive, costing you ads or money paying for ads. So you can either live on social media nonstop, which, as we covered in the intro, I really like to have that balanced life and not be online all that often. So it was important to me to have something that worked behind the scenes so that I could wake up to sales, so that I knew things were functioning and that the foundation of my business was solid without me needing to be online and responsible for that. So if we think about what type of buyers we want to attract, when I said like attracting the right people at the right time, what does that actually mean? So when you think about who are the quote unquote right people. So if you want to sell other products, if you want to monetize your business, we want to make sure that we're attracting people who want to save their time and spend money. So when you can create things like starter kits or blueprints or templates, the very first product that I sold was a social media calendar. It was called Livestream 365. So it attracted people that were like, yes, give me all the social media ideas. I want to save my time. I don't want to sit and have to think of this myself. Just give me the product. So when you think of that, when you're creating your digital products, instead of people who want to spend time to save money, you're attracting a different type of buyer, a buyer who's going to be with you for the long haul. They're going to be loyal. They want to keep saving their time. They value their time so much that they're like, yeah, what other products do you have? What else can I buy? How else can I invest in myself so that I can shortcut my learning curve and keep moving even faster? So people don't need to trust you to spend $27 on a product. So if you're asking like, what is a tiny offer? Typically it's anything that's $50 or less. It doesn't have to be $27. $27 is a fun number. I was born on the 27th, so I'm a little biased, but it can be anything less than $50. It has that impulse purchase price point. I mean, it's basically like if you were to take a friend out for lunch, what would that price be? I mean, or coffees or Starbucks, whatever. As long as your product is at that right price point where it can be the impulse purchase and it shows that it's going to save them time, it's going to educate them, and it's going to inspire them to think even bigger, those are the products that I've really seen take off. So also when you run ads and when you have digital products available that people can sample what it's like to work with you or sample what it is that you offer, you're essentially creating a different perception of your brand. So I have two different examples here. In my brain, this is like the freebie versus starting with a paid product. These are two different bags that I found not found both on Amazon, found one on Amazon, found the left one on Amazon. The right one is Louis Vuitton. If you look at the two bags, just, what they look like, they're very similar. They're both black. They both have tassel thingies. They both have little circle grommets on there. They're really not that different, but one is $2,000 and one is $14, $14.39, and it's probably on sale. So when you think about that, like, how do I give my brand that feeling of being the Louis Vuitton brand? How do I elevate my status and my perception and my brand clout? You have to show up consistently. There's something that happens to people's brains when they see people in their news feeds all the time. It just shifts the way they think about you. And all of a sudden you're like a celebrity to them. You're famous in their eyes because you're running ads, because you have a system, because you've put in the effort to run ads, pay for your ads with your front, top of the funnel digital product, and then have people on your email list ready to buy other things from your business. So this is Catherine. She worked with a lot of different coaches. She was trying to sell a mastermind. She was like a higher ticket coach. And she was telling me, like, I can't sell my mastermind. Like, I know I'm really good at what I do. I know I'm an expert, but it's so hard for me to get people to commit to saying yes to this. So she ended up launching a tiny offer to her list, and she made $15,000 just from her existing list and community. So she was really happy with that. And this was the testimonial she gave me at that point. But then it gets better. She sent me this message just, probably a couple months later. And she's like, oh, hey, by the way, I made another $110,000 since the last time I messaged you. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. But then if you look, she's from Germany, so she's got the euro on here. But if you look at the level of investments that people were suddenly making with her business, they were, 11,000 euro, €10,000, €8,000. Like it totally shifted the way people saw her brand, and they were willing to see her as the expert. They were willing to invest even more because they started with this initial $15,000. She was able to segment her list from buyers, non-buyers to buyers, and then keep marketing to people that had already purchased from her. There's a quote in the sales world that's like, people who pay attention, no matter what it is. If you can get people interested, then they're more likely to continue buying. Brennan says the opposite of jab, jab, right hook. Yeah, totally. But it's different, right? Because jab, jab, right hook is like free, free, free. I still do content. I still have like my jab, jab, right hook, Gary Vaynerchuk style is my content. It's what I put on social media. It's my stories. It's like my typical journey through the, whatever my reality TV show is. It's hard to compare a digital product business to Gary Vaynerchuk because what is he actually monetizing? Like he's in a position where he's an expert, he's investing, he's keynote speaking. Most of us can't start there. Most of us can't start with just free all the time because our businesses will dry up and die. So that's it. Like I love that comparison. And I think it's so interesting to think about it because we're learning from give free stuff all the time from people who aren't in the same position that we're in. So it's like a whole tangent I could go on, obviously, because I'm biased, but it's interesting to think about. So this is Christy. Christy has a business that is called Girl Hustle. It's a fitness business. You can see in her Stripe screenshot when she launched her tiny offer, all of a sudden she's making tons and tons of sales. And she has a fitness brand. So she had a well-established following. She had lots of Instagram followers. She has a membership. So she was able to get people, I think she was making like $112,000 since she sent me this screenshot, and she was able to get people in with a tiny offer. And then the next thing that she offered to them was her existing membership. So she got more sales on the front end and also had more leads to bring into her membership that was already existing. So that's another cool way to think about doing it. So shift number 3 is where most digital product creators go wrong. More gifts, obviously. So there's a big issue when people talk about quote unquote passive income. A lot of people go into thinking they're going to build a course, thinking they're going to have digital products, and then it's just like creating it and then like, okay, cool, I'm done. I made my products. Let me go retire in Fiji. Like I'm ready to roll. However, that's not the reality. And like, I'm here to tell you that as someone who has passive income products, it's not just set it and forget it. There's customer service, there's managing the ads, there's improving the products. Like there's so much that comes along with passive income that the work shifts. Like you create it and you can sell it all the time, but there is maintenance. Like you can't just go to the gym and eat all the healthy foods and get to your ideal weight and be like, okay, cool. Like I'm never going to step foot on a treadmill again or eat another salad because I've made it. Like I'm good. That's not what happens with digital products either. So where most people go wrong is that they think they are the expert, right? Like everyone here probably has an expertise. They're probably a thought leader. You have a business, something you're passionate about. And we think we know our buyers better than they know themselves. So like we'll create what we know they need as the expert. Like, okay, go buy this product because it's going to change your life. But the person that you're advertising to is like, I don't really want that. Like, that's not what I think I need. I'm in a totally different place. So the big shift here is to create what people think they need. And again, another fitness example, because I love, it's just like so relative to business, but say you're a fitness provider or you're like a fitness coach, and if someone's going to have lasting lifetime results, that they need to sleep well, they need to drink water, they need to do cardio, they need to weightlift, they need to, balance their macros and like all these different things. But the person, if you would run an ad to someone where it's like, this is the whole package, you get everything you ever need to maintain your healthiest weight for the rest of your life. They're like, whoa, like that's a lot of work. That sounds like it's going to take forever. And I just want the 21-day quick fix. Like I just want a meal plan. I want a juice cleanse. Like I want the thing that's going to help me look great at my high school reunion in 2 weeks. Like just give me that. So when you're an expert and you are an ethical expert, there's like a disconnect between that, because we feel unethical. Like, well, I don't want to sell them the quick fix because that's not what they need. That's not going to actually help them long term. But there's a little bit of a middle ground that you can meet them at, where if you create something that is going to get their attention and get them into your world, and then within that product, you start shifting their beliefs about here's your juice cleanse. And if you feel great after this, why don't you consider being plant-based? Or why don't you, start drinking more water? You can start when you attend a webinar or a training, a lot of it is belief shifting. I mean, essentially what we're doing even here on this training is like thinking about things differently. So if you can get someone into your tiny offer and like change the way they see something or change their perception and shift their belief, then your other products make more sense. And if you are someone who sells higher ticket coaching or other programs, then you have the right person, because their belief it's grown, or like their self-belief and what they can even accomplish. If you can build all of that into your tiny offer and even have mentions of it where, at the end of every module, it's like, hey, if you want more help with this, you can book a call with our team. Or if you want to do this, here's a sales page or a webinar you can watch. So you make it almost like a sales tool for your other products. That's one way to do it. Otherwise, if you want to scale more horizontally, where if you want to have a lot of different types of tiny offers, like if that's more realistic for your market, you can totally do that too. That's why this is like a one size fits all strategy. So when you know your audience well enough, sometimes as experts, we create that competency gap where we're like, I'm going to create this product over here. And your audience is like, no, actually, like I wanted that thing over there. Like this is the thing that's keeping me up at night. For example, when I launched Livestream 365 as my first offer, it was all about going live every single day. When I first tried to launch it, it took me 3 tries to get it right. So the first time I tried to launch this product, it was live stream systems for sales coaches, and nobody bought it. Like no one wanted it at all, because it was about sales funnels. People were like, I don't want a funnel. Like if I could just be visible, like if I could just be confident and get my face on camera, then people would want to sign up, they'd want to work with me. So when I really listened and I really dug into what the market was actually asking for, that product, it had a lot of the same content inside of it, but it shifted into being a calendar of ideas where all you have to do is go live for 3.5 minutes a day and you're going to get clients. Oh, and when you get clients, here's a sales funnel that you can use from your live streams to turn them into, funneled clients, basically. So same product, but the angle was completely different, and it made a huge difference for people actually buying it. Like then it finally started selling. So what most people do, here's another part of the shift. A lot of people, when they create a digital product like this, they think of it in terms of one product. Like, okay, I'm going to create an ebook, I'm going to create a mini course, and I'm going to sell it. And that's going to be it. But when you can use psychological buying triggers and you create a whole product suite for people, it starts overcoming their objections, and you can make a lot more money from one entry point than you would if you'd leave off like the order bump and the upsell. So this is a super nerdy picture of me at Target. I love Target. And it's an example of what a product suite is. So when you think about creating a whole product suite for people, we see these on end caps at stores like Target or Marshall's or whatever. We look at it, say you're in the bathroom aisle and it's like got the towels and the drying rack and the soap holder and all the things. Same with this like super sugary sundae end cap. If I wanted to make an ice cream sundae, there's everything I'd ever need right here on this end cap. It's got the cones, it's got the Hershey syrup, it's got, marshmallows. It's even giving me ideas of things that I might add. It has everything but the ice cream. So when you start thinking about that, like your digital products, and you know your audience well enough to know what buying, what pain points they think they're solving, there's always a solving and agitating cycle when it comes to buying. So when you solve one pain point, there becomes a new level. There's a new pain point that they want to solve. So when you can predict that for people, when you know them well enough to create this whole buying suite, that's when products really get profitable. So for example, my Livestream 365 started with that calendar. The second screen grab you'll see here was the order bump, which you can't really see on the screenshot, but when you put in, it's a 2-step order form. So the first step is putting in your name and email. That's another hack to grow your email list. And then the second step of the order form is where the order bump appears. So the second order bump of my overall offer suite was a social media repurposing training. The idea being it's going to help them get results even faster from their first purchase. So that's what the order bump should do, help them get results even faster. So the social media repurposing training is like, hey, you just bought this Livestream 365 product. If you want to go even further faster, you got to repurpose those videos. You can turn them into quote cards on Instagram. You can grab the videos and put them on YouTube. Like you can do all these different things. So those two went together. The third step was a sales training. Essentially, it was a sales funnel training. So if you're visible all the time, you're going to need you're going to need a funnel. The product was called Client Multiplier Method, which naming is a huge piece of creating products that feel new, that feel exciting for people. So having the methods, the systems, all of those things, like our brains love novelty. We love when things feel like new opportunities. So having the sales training as the client multiplier method, that's what they get next. So once you're visible all the time, you're repurposing. Once you are, you've got that on lockdown, you're going to have so many clients coming in that you have to automate your sales. You have to help people get to that next step, because you're going to be so busy that you're not going to have time to reach every single one of the people who want to reach you individually. So you need a system. So I want to illustrate the difference I created a Shopify site around the same time. So with Shopify, similar products, no traffic being run to it, just set it and forget it, put it on my website, back, a nice little tab at the top of my website that said shop. And this is what I made in that same time period, probably about $500 a month, which for passive income products, set it and forget it. That wasn't horrible. I mean, if I didn't have such aspirational goals, and if I didn't know what ads could produce, I'd be like, sweet, $500 that I didn't have to work for. However, exact same products with ads running to them in that sequence generated $285,000 without changing much other than having the flow that we talked about, having the steps where people can upgrade their orders and add even more on. That's going to just serve them even more. Like, I think that's a big distinction that I made in my own brain of like, nah, people are going to be ticked. Like, I keep selling them stuff. They're going to be annoyed. But when you come at it from like a service standpoint of like, what else can I give them? What will help them get to that end result even faster? That makes a huge difference. I mean, even energetically in the product and like how you're writing your copy, people care about that stuff and they care that you care about them. So that's like a total different subject I could talk about. But anyway, so you can see from this slide, how much of that, I think on here, I break it down. So from this, with the order bump and the upsell, I would have left $156,000 on the table had I not, did I say that right? 156,000, yes, left on the table if I didn't have the order bump or the one-time offer. Like, just from the live stream alone, that's still like $180,000. That's still pretty good. But once you see how much I spent on ads, then it's not as exciting, because it's like that would have been a break-even strategy. So when you have the order bump and the upsell, that's really where the profit comes in, especially with all the updates we're seeing and volatility happening with iOS 14, with the ads updates. I don't know if you guys have been all up on that, but it is important to have something that breaks even on the front and then has a separate piece of the order, or the order bump and the upsell, that is really responsible for the profit. So the difference, why this worked, it was an offer, not a product suite. That's why when people are like, what's the difference between tiny offers and tripwires? Totally different strategy. Tripwires oftentimes are just unrelated, like a quick buck, a way to add something on the back end to get people to buy, where this is a whole, like, if you've ever read, there's a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. That's a really good book. And it's about getting people's minds right and like priming them to continue being buyers. This sets people up for success because it's an immersive product. And when you design it right and you have videos and you have downloads and you have, Trello boards or audios or whatever else, it's like a fully immersive product experience. So they're not going to forget your name. When you download a PDF and you like file it, you're like, I think I downloaded a freebie with some topic from some person. Like, it's not as memorable because they don't have all their different senses being hit with listening to you and seeing you and reading something that you've created. So the product suite really makes that possible. Other differences from most, tripwire, maybe not tripwires, but set it and forget it digital products are that this uses the direct response copywriting strategies. So if you've ever seen those long form sales pages and you're like, oh my gosh, who reads all of this? A lot of people don't read them, but the point is, like, as you look through a long form sales page, you're looking for the highlight reel. You're looking at the photos, you're looking at the headings, the underlined words. I mean, even that is enough to create an emotional connection with the buyer because of the way that most of these long form sales pages are created. And if you've seen a few of them, they're all very similar, where they build rapport at the top. Like, they have actually at the top, they have like a hook that gets your attention and then builds a connection with you. Like, have you ever felt like this? Here's why it gets even worse, but it doesn't have to look like that. This is what it could look like. Introducing the name of my amazing product. So every single page builds that empathy. It builds a connection. Like, when you can do that with your products, that makes a huge difference too. The other difference is paid media for a limitless flow of leads towards the offer. So when Amazon added this buy now button, which, is like literally a swipe of your thumb on your phone, which don't let your children realize that's possible, because mine did. And there were a lot of orders that had to be canceled. When Amazon added this button, though, essentially in our internet marketing digital product world, it's the equivalent of the one-click upsell. Just adding that button increased their sales by 30%. And that's Amazon. Like, they're already a bajillion-dollar company. 30% is insane, because it makes it easy for people. We are so wired for immediate gratification. We like speed. We like being able to get things quickly. You can't make people click around too much to get your products, or re-enter their payment information, or like have to visit a different page. We want it quick, and we want it easy. So when you can build systems like this that help people do that, it makes a huge difference. Also, mock-ups are another thing that help people visualize digital products. When you can make the, like an intangible digital file that people would open on their computer, when it feels more tangible and they can start visualizing themselves logging into what the client portal looks like, or, with the ebooks, if there are trainings that look like it's a physical book, it makes a huge difference for their mindset of what it looks like to buy your product. And when you can create that visualization for them, it helps them make that final buying decision of like, yes, I want this and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get my credit card, or I'm going to log on to PayPal and I'm going to spend $27 on this. So every single summer, I'm actually leaving for my 3rd annual RV trip with my family. We went to Banff National Park the first year because Canada was open. You can get into Canada. We couldn't last year. We can't this year. So we're not doing that. But the first year that I had this system up and running, I got to go watch the sunrise over Lake Louise, which was like a total bucket list item for me. In my business, like, I left my phone in the RV just because I want to be super present. When I got back from my little walk, my kids were still sleeping. I think my husband was even still sleeping in the RV. When I got back to my family, my phone was there with all of these payment notifications. So what would it look like for you if you stopped working for 2 weeks? If you stepped out from your business and you were like, I'm going on vacation, I'm out, would you still make money on the back end? This is Lindsay. She was a service provider. She's a digital marketer agency, or digital marketing agency owner. She had some family, like her little girl got sick and she had to be out. And it coincidentally was right after she had launched her own tiny offer funnel. So she says, I made $3,500 from my tiny offer itself. And because of who I brought in with the tiny offer, I sold 2 of my powerhouse programs. So that equaled $15,000 of upsells, like higher ticket upsells. So while she was gone, while she was out, she made $19,000 in sales. She said, this is huge for my business and my life. And I'm so grateful for Allie in this program. It's opening up. Like 1,000 times over, you need to build one of these systems in your business. This is Tasha of Lady Boss Studio. She sells Canva templates, different logos. She's a very creative, amazing designer. And this is what it looked like for her when she launched her tiny offer. She has since crossed $1 million in revenue. So these are old screenshots, but she sent me a Voxer message, and I have the audio on my Instagram somewhere where she's like, I just crossed $1 million. So it's crazy how fast this can work. I mean, she was debating between working with me on building a tiny offer and joining another program. Her initial goal from joining this other like agency designer program was to add another $40,000 of revenue for the whole year in her business. And now she does that in just a couple weeks because of this system. So on to shift number 4. What are the 4 specific yes triggers that every product must have? Like, I'm a huge buyer psychology person. Like, I love studying our brains and what releases dopamine and gets us excited about things. So the 4 specific yes triggers, that's where we're going to get into like this, I can't talk, psychology behind this. So the way to get buyers for life, to get people who want to continue being in your circle, keep, just being near you because they love you so much, you can't sell a PDF for $27. And I always lurk in comments on other people's groups because I think it's really interesting to just see what people are saying and what they're really thinking. And people will reveal a lot about themselves in other people's groups. And there was this whole thread about $27 offers and tiny offers, which is a registered trademark, by the way. So I should have said something, but I didn't. Anyway, so they're talking about these offers and they're like, if I buy one more $27 PDF, I'm going to be so mad. And these businesses, like, I would never work with this person. So I'm sitting there like reading this and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like you can't just put a $27 price tag on an existing PDF. As we talked about, that's not what it's about at all, right? It's about that immersive experience. It's about really connecting with your buyers so that there's a loyalty that's being built. There's, reciprocity, like they love how much value they got for $27. So we don't want to sell crappy $27 products because people will never trust you. They will never come back. They will be angry and they'll probably ask for a refund, which is not as fun as, having passive income coming in. You don't want to have passive refunds going out. So you're under strict orders as part of this training. Now that you've gotten to see the whole system, no pricing PDFs at $27. That's not what this is all about. What it needs to be about instead is creating a product that saves them time. I mean, that's the biggest thing psychologically that we talked about, who you're attracting. If you're attracting the person who wants to invest in themselves, that makes a huge difference. So it needs to show that it's going to save them time. It also needs to give them control. So if it is a template, we all believe that we're special and unique. So even if it's a template, it needs to be customizable so that it gives them control, and make it clear on your sales page. Like you can make this your own. It's super easy to customize. Here's how you do it. It also needs to teach them something new and inspire them to think even bigger. So if you can inspire them towards whatever that next vision of themselves, whatever that, next version of themselves is, you can help them start seeing that, then other products that you have will make sense. And they'll be forever grateful that you were the person that inspired them to know that there was something even bigger and better for their lives. So a captivating product suite, if you think about, if you're listening and like your mind is already stewing, like Jordan says, if you're in that point and you're like, okay, cool, like how do I do this? Start thinking about what your buyer journey looks like, or what a customer journey looks like for someone that you'd work with. So if they're coming into your world, what are people saying to you when they're first being introduced, or say they're getting on a call with you and they're like, I just really want to be here, but I'm stuck here. So if you can think about where they're starting, what's point A and what's point B, and what are all those steps in between. So with the live stream calendar, it was like, okay, people need to just start showing up on video. If they can just hit record, they'll realize it's not as scary if they can just commit to 3.5 minutes. And some people didn't realize the underlying inspiration behind the product, because I knew if I could get people comfortable, if I could get them visible, that a whole world would open up for them, right? So like, excuse me, of course I get a frog in my throat. This is like upper limiting every time I do a presentation. It's every time. So I knew that if people got their faces on camera, if they could commit to this goal and they're proving to themselves that they can do what they say they're going to do, they can be visible, that it's not going to kill them to have their face on camera. Like it's actually going to be really amazing, that they can build confidence. I knew that person would be like, oh my gosh, this changed my life, even though it's a social media calendar. Like it's not anything groundbreaking, but because I had all of these core elements and I knew that whole buyer journey of what they needed to believe and think in order to be more qualified for other things and be like ready for other things, I was able to choreograph that in a specific order where I met them where they were at with what they thought they needed, brought in that order bump that would help them get results faster. And then finally, the upsell was the thing ultimately that I knew that I could help them with to get more clients in the door. So when you think about the result or transformation that you help a client achieve, I'm sure there's a result where whatever you're offering or what you're creating, they're different after having met you. They're different. They're a different person. Their life is different after having been near you. So what is that transformation? What are you helping people do? Think about that. And then just brain dump, like get a blank piece of paper and put down everything someone would need to think. This is where you can start creating like frameworks or different systems behind what you do. If you sell like happiness, which I say quote unquote, that's what, if it's something that is intangible, like people are happier after they've gone through your program, or they have better relationships, or they have more self-confidence. When you can name it as a framework, suddenly it feels tangible. So it's like the happiness method, or, like even the love languages. That feels like a framework that was suddenly a buyable thing, even though it's like, here's how you better communicate with your spouse. That doesn't feel as tangible, right? So when you can translate whatever your specialty is into a framework or a method, blueprint, strategy, all those hype words that end up at the end of products, it helps people feel it. It helps people connect with that product. So once you've done that and you've brain dumped all of the steps, that's the beginning of designing your perfect tiny offer. When it comes to I need to slow down. Direct response sales copywriting. There are these different pages that you would think about when it comes to writing your offer. If there's any skill set that you can develop as a marketer of your own business, it's direct response sales copywriting. So direct response just means you can write in a way that elicits an emotional response from the reader. When you're creating this type of offer, there are essentially 6 different things that you need to be able to write. So the main offer sales page, the one-time offer sales page, because these are those longer form sales pages that I talked about. Then your order form page, the confirmation page, which is really easy. The confirmation page is like, hey, thanks for ordering. Here's what you can expect next. And then the main offer video sales letter, so also called a VSL. You can pretty much read your sales page or your first sales page, and that's what ends up feeling like it's a video sales letter. We don't want to get too scripted there, and you guys understand video if you're here, but when people have the video sales letter and they're like, you made a great choice because you bought product X, like it feels stilted. They're not going to really resonate with what it is you're selling, especially, that was like an example of what people say for the OTO video sales letters. So just be natural, just be excited about what your product is and like what that transformation is. When I look at my client results and I see how much it's changed their lives, I'm like, why would I not want to talk about this and be excited in a video sales letter? Like, this is going to be amazing for people. This is Tamiko. She went through the program. She helps parents get their kids napping, which if you have kids, that's like a really amazing thing. It's a huge pain point for people. And she had never really monetized a digital product. She was doing one-on-one coaching with her clients. She was, even going into their homes and like helping the kids sleep in person. So for her to be able to pull herself out, especially during Corona, when, going into people's homes for a while wasn't really recommended. And she was able to turn it into a digital product at naptimefix.com. She made, I think she ended up making $5,000 in the first 30 days. She made 11 sales in her first week just by promoting it to her existing followers or to people she'd work with. Finally, they had a framework. They had a way that they could get Tamiko in their lives without her physically needing to be in their homes. Like, okay, now don't go in if baby's crying, or now like go hug baby. Like she was able to coach people through her system, her nap time system, without needing to physically be there. So that's another way to think about it too, of like, what do you do when you're in person with someone? Like, what do you say to them? What do you coach them through? What questions are you asking? Are there different segments that people typically go through, or different phases that you see clients often follow through? You can put that into a digital product too, because it like removes your time from the equation. So these are low cost, low touch products. You don't want to be needed to help them get to the result. So it's like, how do you pull your time out of it? And any touch from you, or any words from you, any coaching from you, how do you pull that physical presence needed most of the time when we're working with people? How do we get them the result without you needing to be there? These are other clients that said, after changing direction and making a whole new offer, I made my first sale. That's encouraging because it doesn't always work the first time. I'm reading this book called, I know I'm always with the book recommendations, but a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. And she talks about just what is grit, especially when it comes to entrepreneurialism, the idea of like consistently showing up. And even when it's hard work, just doing the work nonstop and being willing to pivot and not give up on a dream and just keep running towards whatever that goal is. Sometimes it takes shifting your offer. Sometimes it takes rewriting the sales page, or changing the first topic, or having an aha moment and not being afraid to pivot. It's the clients that I've worked with who are like, I don't want to rewrite my sales page. I just wrote this sales page. It's fine. Even if it's not working, like I'm not going to do any more work. It's a lot harder to get results when you're not testing things. Russell Brunson himself, who's like the creator of ClickFunnels, he should know a lot about funnels. He said that only 1 out of 3 of every single funnel that he launches actually works out of the gate, like right away starts functioning. The other ones take testing, they take tweaking. So having that idea of knowing that you're just launching to get data, to get ideas, get feedback from people. And if it is what they actually want, that can make a huge difference in the actual success of your products. So the exact system, just to break down all the numbers of what it actually looked like. But first, I have a random fact that I learned on a children's podcast. And that is that Cheerios spends 1/3 of the cost of every single box on advertising. So if you go to the grocery store right now, you can probably buy a box of Cheerios for $3-ish. Maybe it's more with inflation. I don't know. We'll say 3 for easy math. So $1 of every, 30% of their entire budget, or 33%, is going to advertising. And they've been around, I think when I Googled it, it was like 1928 or something like that is when cereal started coming on the market. So they've been around for a really long time, and they're still advertising. But a lot of us business owners, we're like, I'm not going to do ads. Like, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think it's a good way to spend money. Like, we're not seeing it as an investment. So I want to challenge you on that. Like, what's your gut check moment when you hear that? Me, before ads, I would have been like, whatever, Cheerios, like you and your $1 million company, cool. That's awesome. Good for you. But I can't do that because I can't even write myself a paycheck. Like, be serious. This is not a realistic thing for me, small business owner. So setting that limiting belief aside and realizing once you have the foundation and you have digital products and you have this system, all it is messaging. All it is finding the audiences. It's just a process that you can perfect, that you can learn. It's not some crazy out of reach thing, like maybe buying a billboard in a metro area. Like, we don't have to do that for advertising anymore. We don't have to buy a Super Bowl spot commercial. We can compete right next to Nike, next to Costco, next to all the big brands. Even as small business owners, you can start an ad campaign and spend $30 a day and have your ads appear right next to people who are, they used to be the only ones who could advertise. So stop relying on the wrong metrics. We talked about that all the way back in shift number 1. When you rely on not followers and not engagement and not likes and not shares, when you rely on, is this generating income in my business? Am I selling something? Then you know if it's working or not. And because with this system, right away, you can turn things off if they're not working. It's not like that long launch runway where it's 2 weeks of trying ads and then being like, crap, that didn't work. You can spend $30 a day, get some validation, scale your ad spend, which I'll show you how I did that in a second. But it's super interesting. So even at the point of this slide being created, I had sold 12,000 copies of my tiny offer. Now that's up to 25,000 copies of my tiny offer, or various tiny offers. Even that, if I look at people who are interested in digital marketing, and this is straight from Facebook. So if I look for people who are interested in and run ads to people who are interested in face or digital marketing, I've only sold to like half of a percent. I don't even know if that's the right math. Someone who's better at percentages tell me, but it's like a very small amount. And I'm just getting started. Like, even with those numbers, I've barely even scratched the surface of who's available to potentially be interested in what it is that I have to sell. And if you're listening and you're like, whatever, digital marketing is a business opportunity, like my market could never work for this. I've worked with parenting coaches. I've worked with spiritual providers. I've worked with, decluttering specialists, coaches of parents. Like, this can work in every single industry. You might not have a pool of 27 million people to start off with, but this can work in all sorts of different industries. So when I started running ads, I scaled them very quickly because I had a background in advertising. I could do this without freaking out. However, because my account was negative by this point and my credit cards maxed out at this point, I didn't have a lot of room to run ads. So I started, this is just like an illustration of what it looked like. So I started with $30 a day. By day 2, I had, let's say for easy math, I started with $100 that I could spend over 3 days. So if I spent $33 a day, by day 4, I already have money coming back into my account from the sales that I made on day 1. So by day 4, I can essentially triple what my ad spend was and just keep scaling that, or keep waterfalling the amount that I was spending on ads. So even by day 10, I could make 27 times more sales than I could on day 1 because of how much I could spend. I could increase my ads budget. So as long as you're getting a return on ad spend, or a ROAS on what you're spending, you can keep scaling it. So when my strategy was like, I have to make $6,000 as fast as possible, I just kept scaling it, and I kept doubling it, and I kept testing new audiences and finding different pockets I could test. So I ended up making it, it could be people that liked digital marketing who were on iPhones from ages 24 to 29 was like an ad set. And then I would just create all of these little micro ad sets, and that's how I was able to scale. When you have a webinar launch strategy, this is what it looks like. So if you have that same budget, when I run a live webinar, I usually start ads about a week before the webinar. So I would have 7 days to spread out that same budget. If I only have $300 for my ads, I'd have to try to make that work for 7 days. And then I wouldn't get any money back until I knew the pitch worked. I knew people were booking calls. Maybe people were buying. Maybe I sell right on the webinar and then I get the deposit on day 10. So as you can see, like as far as sales strategies and lead growth and being able to scale really, really quickly, it's a lot easier to scale from day 1 to day 10, 27 times if you want, than it is with a webinar strategy. So what most people are doing, blogging, podcasts, TikTok, live streams, IGTV, all of the things. But the one thing they're like, not Facebook ads. Like, I will not run Facebook ads. I refuse, because they aren't seeing it as an investment yet, right? Like when you can think of it as not gambling, it's a predictable return and you can see, okay, $1 turns into $2. I'm going to put money into that, that whatever roulette system all day. It's like putting money into the ATM and getting 2x back when it's working. It does take time to get it working. Like we talked about, this isn't like create anything and run an ad to it and you're going to be an internet millionaire. It takes messaging. It takes knowing your audience. It takes clarity. It takes knowing what you actually want to create. But when you can test it and when you can shift and pivot the offer and know $30 in if it worked or not, it's so much easier than when you have like this massive ad spend. And when I'm running a webinar and when I'm advertising, a higher ticket program, I'll spend $70,000 to $80,000 in a week to get people on that webinar because, again, I know the return on that, it's still going to be profitable, but I couldn't start there. Like I didn't even have that much credit available anywhere. So when you can start smaller, it's a lot easier to build your way into that. So when I started my email list, like I said, 445 people, probably my mom and her friends. Facebook fan page had 700, Instagram 4,400, because that's where I'd put all my effort was on Instagram. Now my email list is 53,000. Facebook fan page, I think it's closer to 10. Instagram, I think I'm up to 12, maybe. I have to go look. It might be higher than that, actually. I can't remember. But income since launch was $2.2 million and ad spend was about $1 million. I know, right? Like, had you told me at the beginning of this, like in the next year, you're going to spend $1 million on Facebook ads, I'd be like, nope, not me, not going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about, because that was monopoly money to me. Like that didn't happen. That wasn't real. People who could do that started rich. Like people who could do that already had millions of followers. That wasn't real for a mom of Minnesota. However, here I am 2 years later telling you that it's possible. So income after ads was $1.1 million. Use that to scale a team because, as I said, I like to be hands off. I like to be behind the scenes. And now my life is completely different than it was prior to having this system. This was my little family. I found out that I had crossed the $1 million mark while I was at Funnel Hacking Live, which was like the craziest story ever. My Stripe account and PayPal accounts literally like clicked over to the $1 million mark while at Funnel Hacking Live. So I was able to say to people at Funnel Hacking Live, like, hey, this happened while I was here. Is there any way that I could walk across the stage and like collect my 2 comma club, which you can see right over there that way. And I called my husband and I was in Nashville. They were in Minnesota. Yes, I have to say it like that for you guys. And he was like, I'm coming. I'm going to pack the kids up in the minivan and we're driving to Nashville. So this is my family. They got to be on stage with me and walk, even though, like people at the event were like, no, it's only the person who won the award. And I was like, well, I built this for them. Like I built this with them. They have to be on stage with me. So I was very stubborn and I made it happen. But now I have this cute gift that I can use. And my family got to be on stage for that. So with having this system, you're never going to have to worry about paying for ads because they're going to pay for themselves, essentially. Like running ads for free was my most controversial headline on my ads, but also, got the most engagement and the most registrations. Because people were like, that's not true. You can never run an ad for free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I was like, okay, but like also watch the webinar because it's really good. Working yourself to death is never going to be a problem. It's all just going to start functioning as it should as a business owner, having money coming in consistently. So if you feel like J-Lo here with Facebook ads and you're like, it's just going to be a loss. It's not meant for me. It's never going to work for me. Just think about it differently and like give yourself a chance to experiment with them and get them working. because it's amazing what it can do for your email size, the amount of followers you have. It like checks off all the boxes for business growth when you have something you can run consistently. I had my same tiny offer, that Livestream 365 product. I had that running for, I think, 2 years profitably. By year 2, it finally started to fizzle out a little bit, but there's a lot of calendars. So I wasn't surprised. People also aren't really doing live streams the same way. Now there's Reels, there's TikTok, there's YouTube. Like when I launched that, it was a lot different marketplace. So 2 years, though, is how long that product actually lasted. So this is the blueprint. Once again, if we've been talking, or if you've been listening and you're like, what did she say it was again? It was paid traffic to a sales page with the order form. If people don't buy, you can send them emails. That's like an abandoned cart sequence. If you've ever been on a clothing shop and you put something in your cart and you don't end up buying, and then you get emails and they're like, wait, come back. You can do that with your digital products too. Then you can have an OTO or one-time offer upsell page. If you want to get crazy, you can have a downsell page. You can have flash sales. Like you can get as complicated and different directions with this type of blueprint as you want. But for simplicity's sake, I just did these basically the first 2 steps. So sales page, order form, and upsell page, and then the confirmation page, and then brought them into my learning management system and went from there. Right here, where that big circle is, that's where I knew if it was working or not. I've since launched, I think, like 3 more tiny offers, and I've had to shut some of them off and rework them because I missed the mark. I didn't quite have the messaging right. Didn't feel like a new opportunity. Didn't quite have the right hook on the sales page. So I knew within a day or 2 that I needed to pivot the product or the sales page. And then in doing so, I was able to bring it back and get it successful. With most traditional launch methods, like we talked about, it's not until the sales call when you know if it's working or not. So that's a long launch runway to know if you're spending money well or not. So when it comes to this type of funnel, I've talked about ROAS, or return on ad spend, quite a bit. With any funnel, there are going to be fall off points, or there's going to be breaking points where you can identify, like, is it the ads that aren't working? Is it my sales page? Should more people be buying the order bump? So when you have this type of system, the work comes into getting your ad costs lower and like doing things to optimize your audiences and get the best ads running. It's like a teeter-totter where you're trying to get your ad costs down and you're trying to get your cart value up. So as long as your average order value, or your cost per acquisition, that's what the word is. Sorry for saying the wrong one. So if you can get your average cost per acquisition, or what it costs to get a buyer, if you can get that lower than your average cart value, or how much it ends up being when they buy, the average amount of people who buy the first offer, the second offer, and the third offer, as long as you can keep your ad costs lower than what your cart brings in, then you're going to be profitable. So there's this whole spreadsheet that you can have that helps you figure out where you need to optimize. Is it the sales page? Is it the order bump? Are the ads just too expensive? Like, how do you balance that teeter-totter and make it happen? And like I said, I celebrate the $1 million businesses as much as the first sale, because it's the beginning. It's really pivotal for people to see it actually happen. This is Megan. She turned on her ads and got her first sale. She's so excited. And then a coach inside of my program was named Jenny. So she's thanking Jenny and the whole Tiny Offer family that it was possible. Many tweaks to be made. I don't like to leave that part out, because it is important that it's not always set it and forget it, right? Like it's marketing. It takes testing. It takes trial and error. And she was saying she's excited that she's done, but she's optimistic, even though there's more work to be done. So just to recap this whole training, photo shoots and fancy websites don't matter. The one thing that you need to stop using, freebies. Where most digital product creators go wrong, that's not paying attention to what your audience actually thinks they need. The 4 specific yes triggers every product must have. The exact no fluff system I used to build this in less than 30 days because I had to. So who does this work for? Anyone who has an expert business, who has a specialty, who is smart, who has something to share, something to teach, and is willing to do the work. Anyone who's good at what they do. Again, like energetically, it shows if you're not excited about what you're selling. I've seen people build whole sales pages and whole products and be like, meh, I don't know, we'll see what happens. And it never sells. When people are like, this is the coolest thing I've ever created, then it always works. So really watching your energy behind what you're creating. If you're not excited about it, your audience probably isn't going to be excited about it either. So anyone who's ready and willing, I just invented a word, ready and willing to invest in themselves, and not just money, but time and self-belief as well. This is a client that I worked with. She's in the decluttering niche, and she had never sold anything. She didn't even have a whole big social media following. I just saw yesterday that she's got a partnership with like iDivine products because they saw her ads. So sometimes when you have ads running, you don't even know where sales are going to come in. You don't even know where partnerships are going to be created or where people are going to see you. But having that visibility just cranking all the time behind the scenes can turn into opportunities that you may have never had. So if it doesn't work, it's because you're not excited, which, I can't say that enough in enough different ways. You have to be excited about what you're creating. Otherwise, it'll show. If your system is broken and you're not working to make it fix or not working to fix it, or if you launch it and it doesn't happen and you're like, whatever, I failed, I give up. That's the wrong attitude. Like, you want to try things, and like, action is going to help you be successful much more quickly. Your ability to move from test to test at a fast rate will help. Or if you're not willing and ready, to invest time and money into your system with leads, time being like the blog posts or the videos or anything that you're creating, you can always add this as a call to action at the end. Like, oh, hey, by the way, did you know that I just created this product? You can go grab it for just $27. You always have a call to action and something to start generating. Even if you're like, okay, I just want proof of concept before I run ads, you can totally do that. You can totally start there. Otherwise, if you're ready to invest in ads, you can just, get them up and running to the sales page. So it's really cool that you can do it in two different ways. So I had launched this same funnel 3 times, and I almost gave up just on this funnel. But because I had the blinders on and my husband was like, you're going to make this work because I believe in you and I know you can do it. The secret was that it had to be the easy button. So what I wanted to create, what I wanted to offer anyone who's here on this training, I created this product that's called the Tiny Offer Toolkit. And it's a tiny offer about tiny offers, which I know is so meta, but you can purchase it today. There's a special link for you guys right there. And essentially, it's all the templates that I used and the easy buttons that I was able to create for people. So I'm going to show you that link so you know what it looks like when you go there. Can you guys see this? Maybe you can't. Nope. I think I need to share a different screen if I wanted you to see it. Anyway, if you go to that link, you can see the different templates that I use. There's Canva templates, there's workbook templates, my calendar template. That was like the original offer that I created. Oh, now you can see it. Thanks. So this is what you'll see on that page. And it is a tiny offer about tiny offers. So you can go grab that today as a special offer for being here on this training and being able to jumpstart that, creating them in 1/100th of the time because you have these templates. So it's got, what goes into creating a great tiny offer, what goes into optimizing the ads. It's all within this tiny offer toolkit that you see on your screen. So that's everything that I have for the training. I'd love to hang out in tiny offer inception. Yes. Love to hang out and answer any questions that you guys have about anything.
Yeah, Allie, first of all, thank you so much. Absolutely incredible. And just to frame what we're about to get into, there's a lot still coming up, but a few things that you need to know. In just a second, we're going to end this stream over on our podcast channel. And I just want to thank you for being here. Smash like if you got some value out of this video. Watch the replay of this. I know it's very dense, it's very deeply strategic. And if this was a part of our Inner Circle program, so we just wanted to share this session with you that are part of our Think Media podcast community. If you want to learn more about that, there's some links in the description down below. It's called Think Inner Circle. I also would just highly recommend definitely check out innercircletinyoffer.com because this is a revolutionary business system that Allie has pioneered. I love her transparency. This takes real work. You really got to tweak it, but she broke it all down in this training, and just such a great special tiny offer, super affordable to really build a business around your YouTube channel. In just a second, Inner Circle, get your questions in right now. Mel's going to be joining us. We're going to do some hot seats. And that's what our Inner Circle program is every month. If you actually want to learn this kind of stuff, like Facebook ads and, how to package your knowledge in digital courses, how to really build your business out. When she put some of those funnel pages up, you might have been like, oh my gosh, I feel like my brain is melting. And I don't know if your brain hurts the same way that mine does, but I think about our journey, Heather Torres, myself, us in the Inner Circle community. It takes a while, years, to kind of wrap your head around these types of concepts, to learn these skill sets. But the shortcut is working with somebody who can shorten your learning curve. Just for people that want to go faster. That's what the Inner Circle Tiny offer is all about. If you just want to go faster, get the templates, get the product mockups, the Trello templates, all the different stuff that is in here, then definitely grab that. So again, you can see this innercircletinyoffer.com. And if you smash like if you're on YouTube, and of course, we will be back with the podcast, back with Coffee with Cannell, and back with everything else like that. Until then, keep crushing it, keep smashing it, and we will see you in the next video. And as we transition the stream, you can click whatever end card we choose.